everyone. This is our first interview for Fit Connect. Before I introduce you, I just want to build it up a little bit. Quentin's, if you don't know Quentin, well, most of you should, but for all the new cats out there, Quentin's a 6-time provincial IFBB champion. He's won the SA title and the SA overalls once. And he's hit his division, which he won 4 times as a national champion. And I think his best win was a 7th at Worlds in India, hey, Quentin?
Yeah. So that's just to clarify. Yeah, I've never won the overall SA overalls. I won the nationals 4 times, but I've never won the overalls at nationals. I've only won the overalls at provincials.
So I stand corrected.
Yeah.
And your
just for the record.
And your last show was the Samson Classic. That was back in Durban, right?
Well, the last show that I won. Well, actually, no. It wasn't. I just listed it, the list that I sent you, but it wasn't really. That was 2009. Cool. So the last show that I won was actually in like 2010. That was SA's in 2010, and then that was. But it was the 2009 Samson Classic, and that was the only show that I did that year. That was bodybuilding.
So, I mean, you've had a very successful career with the IFBB. You've been doing it for quite a long time. And we recently seen that you joined the IBFF as the president of the Pretoria region. Now, one would think that, you would have branched out to being a judge or someone in the IFBB, but I see that you're now with the IBFF. What made you switch federations? Because you were so loyal to the IFBB for so many years.
Well, I suppose as a competitor, it was a different story because, us back in the day, that was the main federation, the IFBB. And, that was the federation to compete in, as a young, inspiring bodybuilder to, get to the Olympia or something like that. That was the goal, federation. Yeah. And the main thing is that was before the split now. I mean, now the IFBB is divided into 2.
Yeah.
You have your pro league, which is owned by Germanian, and then there's the other side, which is owned by the European. I think it's Rafael, some Spanish guy.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know his name, sorry. Pardon my ignorance there, but if I can remember, I think he was involved with the Worlds and stuff like that for many years, and they still trying to get Olympic recognition, which is, I don't know. I sometimes often wonder, like, come on now, like you're never gonna get it.
So how the hell that's gonna happen? Fuck.
Give up already. Like they want to introduce drug testing, but everyone knows. Most of the guys are using. So, I mean, what's the point of trying to drug test? Just that you can get into the Olympics and then what? You know what I mean? Just, keep it, it's not an Olympic sport. That's what it is.
It will never happen. I mean, how much blood would you need to drain out of a person? You're probably going to have to do a blood transfusion before you test someone at the Olympics. Don't you think?
Yeah, and there's such a lot of scamming and underhandedness that goes on there anyway. So yes, I suppose if you a strong contingent, your country is strong on the committee, then you probably will get away with all the testing. That's what's been happening with a lot of stuff. I mean, you've seen it. It's not people that are ignorant about it won't believe so, but go and see what happened. The typical cases of Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson, 88 Seoul Olympics. Carl was also tested positive. Somehow they lost his result. I think because, look, the IBFF is a new federation. They've been around since 2010.
Okay.
And in South Africa, they're only 2015. So it's 5 years. We can't, not even 5 years. I mean, we can't even include this year. I had 2 good shows, a development show and a nice Pretoria show called King of the Capital, which was scheduled for actually this coming month, August, but nothing's happening obviously this year, so we postponed till next year. And the reason why I guess I was handed the opportunity by Arnie Williams. Handed the opportunity to run a region and make it my region and run it how I want to in every aspect on how how we get it sponsored,
Managing the whole
what I'm going to
process.
charge for the athletes to enter, spectator tickets, where we're going to have it, this and that. So it was a good opportunity for me, not joining a different federation. I was working with Pro League a bit, but you don't really have a say. And for me, just to kind of be like a mindless robot and move from here
What
to there with
were you
like
doing
out
work
any states.
with the Pro League in South Africa?
Yes, I was. I was a stage expediter for a little while, but I just didn't see any future potential and growth in that. And honestly, I just think, let's be honest, the reason why I went to the IBFF, I just think that there's potential, and the main thing is that the federation actually cares about the athletes. That's the
Okay.
bottom line. Bar anything else. That it's there for the athletes. The IFBB these days, if you look at it, it almost looks as if, they just want to try and see how much money they can make out of this so-called bodybuilding thing, milk
Yeah.
the athletes, milk the spectators, not really give anything back, to help or develop the athletes and stuff like that,
We noticed a
from
lot
both
of
sides.
we've noticed a lot of top level bodybuilders, like including yourself. I mean, you've moved away from the IFBB purely from a more of a development and management perspective. You wanted to pursue that dream in a different federation, but we've seen a lot of bodybuilders that are now leaving the IFBB stage. They're going to other federations like yours. I know it's big in King Williamstown in the Eastern Cape. A lot of guys used to compete at the borders in East London, and I see a lot of the guys are gone to the IBFF around King Williamstown. So I can agree
Yeah, I
with
think
you.
the main thing is that I think that the athletes just at the end of the day get better bang for the buck, so to speak. Not even that, you just feel more welcome, and there's more assistance, and you feel more part of a family.
I said it's more culture when they're coming over to the IBFF.
Yeah, no, I just think the whole point of the federation is to help and develop and promote the athletes, and let the athletes compete in a federation where they don't feel like, okay, they're not part of this team, so they're going to get penalized on the judging. Or I've noticed with a lot of federations, you're part of teams, depends who's your coach.
Yeah.
And if your coach is on good terms with the judging panel, or the chairman, whatever the case may be, definitely your athlete's going to do well. Yeah, and I don't think it should be like that at all. Just because you bring 20 athletes to the show doesn't mean that all your athletes should be favored. And I just want fair.
Yeah.
I just want fair, and I want the athletes to get a good deal, not where the athletes. I mean, it's an expensive sport, so that a lot of the guys are putting in a lot of their spare cash and coming up with their last cent to put into the sport, and then you milking him for entry fees, and then of course your family want to come watch you, and auntie so and so and uncle so and so, they want to come watch you, but then the tickets are so expensive. That's unfortunately what it's become, and that's why I just think if a lot of the federations are going to continue that way,
Yeah,
then they're going to die out, because I mean, yeah, like I said, it's just becoming very expensive for athletes and spectators to attend the shows because of that, and actually get like value for money. Like you're spending a fortune on an entry fee, but you're getting a shit little backstage where you don't even have space to warm up because you're bumping elbows with everybody else. But
yeah.
you're paying a huge fortune to enter, and just the way the smoothness of the shows and the venues of the shows. I think if you're paying premium money, even as an athlete or as a spectator, you should be, it should be at some decent venue with ample parking, security, and everything, and not some old
Church hall.
shitty little, like a shitty one, that you got so cheap, so that you can just maximize profits. But let's not kid if the athletes have a decent stage, or decent lighting, or a decent backstage, or just a comfortable venue for an athlete to be in. I mean, you're spending almost the whole entire year, prepping for the contest, or at least 6 months max, or 6 months minimum, shall I say?
Yeah.
Prepping in, coming in, and spending a ton of money, a huge sum of money. I think you as an athlete deserve something like that. I think so.
Yeah,
I think
a guy from the Eastern Cape, he just got into the scene. And I said, hey, what's happening down in the Eastern Cape? And he's like, yo, Wade, specifically East London. And he said, we started off at the Guild Theatre, which was an awesome venue in East London. Then it moved to a casino, which was another great venue. And he says from there, then it started going to a community hall. And now it's like basically the fees are going up, but the quality of the venue is basically going back into like a community center, whereas they had like a proper theater in the beginning, and it held so much of history.
Promoters just want to pocket more money. That's what it boils down to.
It's a mess.
The promoters want to put more money in their pockets.
I did a show there in 2010. I mean, it was just an amateur level show, but to do a show in a theater, you feel good about it, and then to go stand on a stage where the floors are almost collapsing from there to there.
Well, there's splinters.
Yeah, there's splinters
in your barefoot.
You don't even get It's embarrassing.
Can't do a little turn, and then you got splinters in your feet.
I mean, can a pro from your federation go to an NPC show and qualify to get in Olympia? Because you guys got some good athletes. So I'm a bit confused. I think everyone's a bit confused about how everything goes along.
We've got some freaky athletes. There's only, the pro division now, I think, is only 4 years old. The pro division in the IBFF, it's only 4 years old, but we have 35 pros, and 11 of them are South Africans. I think 11. Okay. Yeah, it's 11, at least, not less than 11 or 18. Okay, let me just check. I think it is 11. So, I mean, 11 out of the 35 are South Africans.
Sure. Okay. That's quite a bit.
So that's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. How you were asking the question if they're allowed to,
Can they go to the NPC though, and try and do they need to qualify to get a different pro card at the NPC to get into the Olympia, or can they run with theirs?
They cannot. They can't run with their pro card to use it at obviously a pro show of the NPC or pro league. I think if they're trying to get their IFBB Pro League pro card in order to qualify for the Olympia, then they'll probably have to relinquish their IBFF pro card, not having two simultaneous pro cards. Unfortunately, it's not like boxing where you can. But
jump from.
I know that the IBFF don't have a problem with anyone coming from any pro from any federation and competing in any of their shows or pro shows. But I know the Pro League obviously has quite a bit more sticky regulations with regards to that.
Okay.
They want you to be exclusive. It's just how it is. And to be honest, I mean, if one of those guys had to try and IBFF Pro had to try and compete at the NPC qualifier, I think, with the judges, I think the guy's going to get blasted by the judges. He's not going to get.
So the politics come back into it then again.
You're never going to get away from it. Unfortunately, that's just how it is.